A few YouTubers happened to stop by in Wellington for a project, including Lindsay Ellis and Dan Olson, and I got to meet them, which was dope. Accompanied by colleagues Nella and Sarah and Angelina Meehan. But if you don't know Lindsay Ellis or Dan Olson, I have a video piece in the Dooblydoo. You know, I'm almost 200 videos in, and I still don't know how linking things in this part works. There are a couple times where I didn't hit record fast enough, so I'm gonna give some context via some good old-fashioned title cards.
The Country for the Wellington people very much has an identity as a New Zealand film.
Okay.
Pete's Dragon is just incidentally New Zealand.
Sure.
So then, in between these 2 points, where
like is Thor Ragnarok a New Zealand film?
Yeah. I think it's not, but it is good to talk about in the context of New Zealandness because it says very interesting things. I have a lot of thoughts on Thor Ragnarok, but...
So Thor Ragnarok is going to be a little bit more, probably a lot more towards Pete's Dragon, where it's like, alright, it probably has a little bit more New Zealand identity than Pete's Dragon, which is just incidentally like location, but then it's like, alright, where's Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Because it's like, especially if you want to look at it, like, you know, there's kind of a postmodern sense in there where it's like, where New Zealand itself absorbed Lord of the Rings into its promotional identity and was like, we are Middle Earth, and they advertise themselves as that.
And that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And to do this, we need to track down hidden Inuit holes, of death. Now, it's kind of a take on the Orpheus myth. He needs to travel into the underworld. The entrance to the underworld is through the hidden Inuit hole's vagina.
Yeah, I gave her a free
which has obsidian teeth.
Okay.
And he tells all of his animal friends, hey, while I'm doing this, you're not allowed to make noise. Be very, very quiet, because if she wakes up, I'm dead. And he'll go, okay, cool. That's awesome. We'll totally silent.
Yeah.
So he climbs in, and they're all silent. They're all holding up their laughter. And then in the process of climbing back out, with the gift of immortality, and Fantail sees him, and Fantail sees what this looks like. Now he's climbing out of this woman's obsidian teeth and across the vagina, and Fantail starts laughing. And she wakes up and crushes him with her obsidian teeth.
This was featured in a picture book loved by many New Zealand children. It's great. You know why? The 1930s. You know what would be absolutely spiffing? If we could transform this area into a pheasant hunting ground.
Motherfucker! You always ruin everything! Stop ruining my nice flowers by bringing your non-native shit! God damn it!
Yeah, every pine tree you saw there, they're self-seeding.
Don't tell. Okay.
The army has to go grab them. Like, essentially, they go on scouting missions to find them, then they go out to pull them up.
There is one pine tree. There is a pine tree. I need to know if it's native to New Zealand.
No, we do not have pines.
Whoa! Really?
Pinus contorta. That's not native.
What?
Pinus radiata, also not native.
What?
Pinus radiata, also not native.
Not native.
White people.
They grow here really well, but the native fish is like...
Mine is literally white. So what the fuck is that tree native to? Because it's the one that has like, it's like so, it looks like a fucking cell phone tower.
It looks like a fake tree.
It looks like a fake fucking tree.
You know the fake tree, right?
Like, alright, so you have like the main pine, and then it's like literal rings of straight sticks going out, and then the pines go straight up, and you have the under pine.
Those are Norfolk pines. They are native to this region of the world. They've been carried on breezes here. They're fine.
Oh, so they're native. Okay,
They're not. I don't think they're native to New Zealand. They're called Norfolk Island pines. They've been here long enough. They would have been carried on winds from Australia. Australia carried on breezes. They're fine. They're beautiful. We love them.
Subsidized by a complex House of Cards balancing act between producing just enough corn but not too much corn, but also not skyrocketing the price of corn to the point that the cost of food would go up so much that corn, which forms the backbone of the American working class diet.
The more you say the word corn, the more I'm disliking it.
You will reach semantic satiation by the end of this. So corn forms the backbone of the American working class economy to such a degree. Not corn,
like, you know,
not corn.
corn.
Oh,
So it's finally at long last filming the corn rant. No, this is good.
Okay.
Do it. Do it. Great. Do it.
Like thinking about product derived from
Not corn, human inedible corn that is then processed into corn syrup and animal feed forms the backbone of the diet of the American working class to such a point that if the price of corn goes up too much, food will go up too much for the American working class to feed themselves, and people will starve and die.
That is a really dark place, dude. Just let me know. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
All right, so that's a good starting point.
Also, okay, this human inedible corn that forms the backbone of the American diet is a specific strain whose patent is owned by Monsanto.
Oh, for fuck's sake! You're
So let me talk about GMOs for a hot second. Alright, here's the thing. GMOs are not bad. The human inclination to make food better or to serve a specific purpose is not bad.
It's not bad.
What
However,
is bad?
corporations owning the patent on the DNA of food is awful.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. To live in North America, 70% of the carbon in our bodies comes from Monsanto corn.
No. Although, does this stop there, or Dan? Does this conversation stop here, or do we start talking about how they've introduced those strains into Mexico and slowly the biodiversity of strains grown by
I feel like
people
we
in
need
Mexico
to
is
deconstruct
increasing?
the whole Monsanto conspiracies thing, because people are like associate Monsanto with just like sort of a new world order, and it's just like it's just a company that owns a lot of patents.
It's just a company that's just real
like,
corporate bastards.
So there's always a corporate interest
Rouse me when
in
Monsanto is
the latest, hottest, like food stuff that you can sell to the American people. Anyway, like the longer you get out there, the better. Like when you look at ruby red grapefruits. Why are they ruby red? Because they irradiated them. Because so the reason ruby red grapefruits exist is because there was a whole segment of the American history where we bombarded seeds with radiation to mutate them. Now these things are not irradiated themselves. It just changed them just enough to bring us new fruit and things like that. Throughout human history, we have taken seeds, planted them, grown them, seen what we like, taken those seeds from those plants, planted them, seen what we like, and that's how but it takes like 10 generations to get the ultimate thing that you want. Things like irradiation, things like genetic manipulation gets you that in 2 generations, 3 generations really fast. And then the food, then you get things like golden rice that's high in vitamin A that helps supplement deficiency in certain communities. Then you get things like yams that have cover a deficiency, except they're like bright white instead of purple. You know, there are things that are done that help people that fill food deficiencies that are otherwise not addressed. That's not the problem. Humanity trying to find ways of filling holes is not the problem. The problem is when you have people coming in and doing the research, because before you get these companies coming in, it was all university work. Like with the University of Chile, with the other universities trying to trace back the heritage of tomatoes, for example, going to the Andes, trying to find the originating vines that tomatoes come from to get that genetic diversity. Because here's the thing about tomatoes. The tomato you eat is it's the one tomato that made it to fucking Spain. So the genetic diversity of all the tomatoes we eat is fucking 3% of what tomatoes could be.
If you're ever in Virginia, there's a living museum in Northern Virginia that grows all of the heritage tomatoes that George Washington grew, and like half of them look like oranges.
Yeah, but all of them are still only about a small percentage of the actual genetic diversity of what tomatoes could be in the wild.
Genetic diversity of tomatoes.
Because the Spanish came, they took what tomatoes they could, and what was cultivated in Europe was a monoculture of what survived. And then everything we have comes from Europe, from the strain that was taken in Europe, monocultured, changed because of, you know, what things that they picked out of that, and then brought back to America. Yeah, so here's the thing. They go to fucking Chile. They go to the Andes, they were like, oh, tomatoes, they're delicious. And they go to the Aztecs, oh, your tomatoes are delicious. And they take them. They take them to Spain. And they're like, oh, they're poisonous. So they were just going to grow them as ornamentals. And then, like, that spreads from there. And then it comes back to America, which also, like, by the way, African slaves were the ones who were like, well, we'll eat it. And then they're like, oh, this is delicious. And then they cooked it up and, like,
We took that from black people as well.
oh, yes, we did. Yeah, we did. And then there's this bullshit story. Okay, let me tell you the bullshit story about Thomas fucking Jefferson. Let's go. So Thomas fucking Jefferson. So there's a fucking story about how he's walking around outside of Monticello, and I'm like, that's your first problem. Monticello is a fucking plantation. And what neighbors did he just walk by? That's like a 3-day goddamn walk. Have you been to Monticello, motherfucker?
I've been to Monticello.
Alright, but maybe. Alright, so let's pretend he's governor of Virginia, so he's in Williamsburg. Let's pretend he's in Williamsburg, so there are people there. Fine. I'm gonna add that layer to the story of possibility. Fine. So he's walking around as motherfucking governor of Virginia, and there's some woman who has tomatoes as an ornamental in her front garden. And he's like, what are these weird berry things? And she's like, oh no, don't eat them, they're poisonous, they're related to nightshade. And Thomas Jefferson goes, haha, lol, and he eats one. And it's fine. and then he's like, oh, tomatoes are great. What if we just use tomatoes in everything? By the way, it probably wasn't him. It was probably his cook, who was also kind of related to him. It was Sally Hemming's son, who was his main cook.
Yikes.
Yeah, yikes.
Things are related to nightshade. Potatoes are all related to
Tomatoes are super
So
related.
potatoes have a fun story. Also from the Andes, because the Andes are an ecological fucking wonder. Hello, Andes. So potatoes come, and there's always a story and this story is very apocryphal because, of course, it's very like, lol, British, Irish are smart. So the story is that the potato comes to Europe, and Sir Walter Raleigh has it planted in his Ireland plantation. Because, you know, Ireland is just plantations at this point, because the Irish. And then the overseer eats the leaves and, of course, spits them out because they're awful and poisonous. He's like, I'll rip them all up. And then the Irish gardener who rips them all up sees the tubers and eats those and is like, oh, fuck, these things are amazing. And that's why the Irish have potatoes, according to the story.
And that's what we ended with the Irish potatoes. That's what the Irish take on the potatoes.
Oh, no,
I'm like, yeah.
Let's talk about the Irish fucking
Okay.
Oh, no.
Let's not. We know that's a no, because obviously this potato was domesticated by the Native Americans. Okay. So we're gonna make this a thing. Like, to be clear, the potato was.
No, the potato
was domesticated before.
I am.
Okay.
Also,
Yes.
by the way, the Inca had a beautiful system for dry freezing potatoes for long-term storage because the Incan were like, serious note, the Incan were highly civilized, highly advanced, and had their own system of like keeping track of shit, and like all that record was burned. And that's why when we look at Native American, North or South record keeping, be it the Aztecs or the Incan or anything else, like people had written records, or at least records of some type, but they were destroyed by the fucking Spaniards. And that's why, there's this idea of Native Americans not being like, oh, well, they didn't have a written language. No, motherfuckers, they had a fucking language, you shitheads. You erased it because you knew that was where power was at. I get so mad.
The Iroquois Confederacy was actually an incredibly complex political system.
It was!
To rival the, the okay, so if you look at like the feudal interlocking systems of Europe, and like you're like peeling apart those political systems, and you're like, how did anyone keep track of that? And it's like, yo, like the Iroquois, like it was a complex modern political system.
Alright, this is before European and like settlement, but like I want to flip a table over Cahokia, which is outside of St. Louis, and it was the largest earthen mound civilization. At the height, was bigger than London at the same time.
Yeah.
And it is a beautiful site, like barely survived the interstate highway, by the way.
Yeah.
Barely.
We very nearly destroyed it.
Yeah. Well, go America.
Maternity!
No, and archaeology shows time and time again that the trade routes between various tribes and nations was vast and extensive, and all you have to do is follow the fucking archaeology, and then you see it, and breaks my fucking heart.
Like you had to have a level of density that was high enough in order to actually get critical mass on a plague.
Exactly.
Because if you didn't have that, if North America was as like empty as the Europeans claimed it was, well then it would have, the disease would have killed the coastal tribes and left everyone else alone.
And that's the biggest thing to try and change the minds of Americans about, where it's that. No, there was a huge population here, and by
millions
the time,
and millions of
people. Where you have first-person accounts of Europeans going up the Mississippi and being like, so we found a bunch of villages with a lot of bones. That's weird, right?
Yeah.
Well, even before
the
that,
the plague was faster than the people actually going there.
One of the the earliest expeditions up what is now north of the Carolinas is you look at the story of Roanoke, and which is this notorious failed colony, and it's like, why did Roanoke fail? And it's because the settlers who wound up in Roanoke, that was the only empty space left, so they wound up with these crappy dregs of a camping spot because people were living in all of the good land.
Even Jamestown was in a fucking swamp.
Yeah, it was the garbage leftovers because natives were already living here in all of the good places. They had already taken all of the good land.
They knew it was up.
They're like, yeah, no, I don't know if you guys want to set up over there.
They were like, I'm just
Jamestown
saying,
thing. That's a bad idea.
It floods, the water's brackish. I don't know if you want to live there.
All right, guys, if you want to live, cool, fine, all right, we'll let you.
Or then even fucking Manhattan, where it's just sure, we're just gonna keep passing on through our hunting grounds. No one can actually own this. I'm a little confused why you're doing permanent settlements. What's up, man? So let me tell you about the national fucking anthem of America.
Yes, let's go.
As I drink this beer. So imagine a country that won its independence. You had 30 years. You've had all these 30 years to be like, okay, we're old bitches, motherfucker. But then Mama comes home and she goes, knock, knock, motherfuckers. And you're like, no. One.
You hand me my beer.
Two. And you're like, but Canada, don't you want to... Here's the big thing about America. We always wanted Canada to be more with us.
Yeah.
It's the bigger brother. We're just like, Canada, come on, man. And Canada's like, no. No.
Yeah.
So the British are coming. And, again. The British are coming. So there's a force. We're always coming. We're always being dicks to everyone. Right? And we're just like, shit. Anyway, so what we have is this fort out of Baltimore called the Henry Fort. Yep. And you have this motherfucker who wrote the Francis Scott Key. He knew some guys. And he got
he's
put on
related to F. Scott Fitzgerald, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he's
really sorry. Anyway, yeah, but like anyway, so like he gets like he's like a diplomat being all like, hey guys, what if we just didn't have a fucking war? And they're like, what if you come in our ship? And he's like, okay, sure, yeah. He's like, yeah. But then he's on the ship and he's like, oh fuck, I'm a prisoner of war. This is not what I was expecting. So then he's on the ship, this like fucking like wooden ship, and he's sitting there, just like watching. Yeah, he's just watching it. He's like in the distance, being like, oh fuck, yeah, god damn it, wow. And like in the distance, and like he's watching them bombing Baltimore at this point. And like, if you were gonna fuck up any fucking city state in America, I guess you'd go for Baltimore. Yeah, Baltimore. Good Lord, Baltimore. But he's just sitting there looking watching it like, oh shit, I hope that's still there when I wake up.
Painting hairspray, you know.
Yeah. And like he totally charmed his way with the guards where he's just like, can I just watch you bomb my hometown? Is that cool? And they were like, oh man, yeah, come on over, just watch it. It's cool. So like, and in the morning, like it's like, oh shit, you didn't bomb it. Shit, there's still things there. And then we get to National Anthem, and this is where I'm just like, if there's one thing I appreciate about it, or I want to like drive home to all new Americans, it's that our national anthem isn't one of, yeah, we fucked that shit up and we dicked it really hard. Like, I saw our national anthem is actually really kind of like, oh shit, are we still a nation? Yeah. Oh shit, did we survive the night? Yeah. And I feel like we've forgotten that. Yeah. And like, if there's one thing I could take across this fucking ball-ass country that's too big for words, and just be like, guys, I just want you to remember that our national anthem we all sing is just like, you wake up one morning and go, fuck, are we still a nation? Yeah, there's a piece of fabric there. Oh shit, are we still a country? It's kind of like playing a game of chess where it's like, well, all your bishops and like your rooks are gone. Yeah. You lost it's like, well, we're still here. No, you're standing on a fucking like ship and you're going, oh say, can you see the one lesson by the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed. But the tune is based on can you see, is America still there? But what the greatest part is that tune is a fucking.
It's an English pub drinking. It's a club song.
Yeah.
Made of an carol.
Like can you see? Like the dawn's early light. I don't know. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light? What so proudly we hailed at the dawn's early light. You guys know the words? Let's get whose stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. What the ramparts we watch. I know the fucking words. And the rockets red glare. I feel so bursting in air. Gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? I feel like enough. For the land of the free and the home of the brave. This is a drinking song. I have a meant for a drinking song, and it is a forever drinking song. I have a
hear our voices we entreat. God defend our free land. God Pacific's triple star from the shafts of